everyone. So today we have someone who is very well known in the industry and who has experience over a decade's time. So please welcome Mr. Asath Afham, who is currently working as a manager, talent acquisition at Axiata Digital Labs. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So before we dive into the questions that we have for you, I would like to know a little bit about yourself, including your background, your academic qualifications, and very especially how you got into this field of HRM.
Okay, so thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity, and thanks for these Kelaniya University students for having me over here. I started my journey way back in 2010, soon after my schooling career. I studied at National School of Business Management, NSBM, and then it was affiliated with the University College of Dublin, Ireland. And then starting my HR career, it was an accident. It was this HR field was recommended to me from my parents, and then they knew the potential of how I need to groom in my career. So it was purely my parents grooming towards this.
I want to know your career journey and how did you enter your field and where you work.
Okay, so I started my career as a associate human resources in a consultancy firm called Randstad, which is known as Quest Corp in the industry right now. And then from Quest, I moved to First Source Dialogue, which was the largest BPO organization in Sri Lanka at that time. And then I moved back to my initial international exposure, which is at McDonald's, Saudi Arabia. Then I came back to Sri Lanka, and then there were like different industries I moved into, like consultancy, insurance, and then I went back to abroad as well. So now I'm here in Sri Lanka in the IT and telecommunication sector.
You said you work as an expatriate.
Yeah.
So I want to know what encouraged you to take that opportunities.
Well, we had to make a difference in our career.
Yes.
And then it's always good to have the international exposure as a person. I myself, I wanted something different, and I wanted some additional weightage which would add value to my profile. So that was the biggest hunger which I had to come in.
So, how does the organization train you to undertake international assignments, and what kind of the training that they offer, and how do they facilitate the essential resources?
Okay, so I'll just emphasize about the McDonald's, and there was a place that I worked in United Arab Emirates on how the training was given. So it's like McDonald's is like very well known worldwide. So they have a separate LMS, and then they do have their separate training and development module. And we had to go through on a separate industrial training, plus we had a professional training as well. So it was categorized into different levels on the different things that they really wanted. And then telling about the other experience which I have in United Arab Emirates, it was like the initial place of knowing where the nationalities, like different nationalities, how do we cater ourselves, how do we place ourselves, and then how things can be like convinced to different nationalities was like a different training that we had to go through.
Have you faced any challenges as an expatriate in international assignments? If so, how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, initially getting into this international assignment was a real challenge, and then going through different challenges is the nationality, like being a Sri Lankan and working in another country, and then the language barriers, and then there were different types of knowledge that we had to gain. Like it's in Sri Lanka, it's like very limited amount of knowledge we have to get into the international market. But then again, getting to know the people, getting to know the culture, and getting ourselves into what we really need was the motivation which I had.
What are the major essential things to an organization should provide for an international assignment for their success?
Well, if an expatriate initially needs to go to that specific country and pursue their career, initial thing which I need to, from my perspective, I see is they need to know about the culture of that specific organization and that specific country. And then overall, the very next thing which I see in myself, on my opinion, is they need to know how the rules and regulations of that specific geographical place, how does it operate, and how respectful and how they need to adhere to the responsibilities over there. So those two are the main key things. Rest of the things it can be like continued and got to know while working over the places over there.
The reason for the failures of the international assignments, among that, what is the most critical factor?
Critical factor is like managing different nationalities. Like Asians are different compared to Africans, and then other geographical areas like Europeans and Australians and different nationalities. So managing their mentality is like different from person to person. So like nationalities, they have different expectations on how they want things done. So managing that is one of the key aspects.
Mr. Asath, we would like to know how do organizations choose international assignees among the employees to fulfill their objectives?
Okay, so I'll just comment that in a very detailed way. Now, differently, we have different skills. Now, example, if you'll take, if people are going around out of the country for different job experiences, they do have different skills, like starting from skilled employees to professional employees. So what I see is when people exactly, if they are looking to Sri Lankans, they look in different skill set. Okay, and if you like think about the accountancy, finance, and everything, there's a good set of people, like good set of professionals who are like among the world rankings. And then looking out for these skilled employees, the thing which I know is few about the automobile industry. There are a good number of excellent people over here who are like very much exposed into the automobile industry as well. So in order for one person to get an international assignment, they need to have different skills. So the organizations which they really need talent, they look into the initial places like they want the cost to be reduced. So if they are getting the people from their home country or from a different geographical area, they consider the cost factor. So considering the cost factor and the attitude of the person and the person who needs to continue the career of the specific industry, it matters a lot. So answering your question on why do they go is, initial thing is they want to get the best cost effective outcome from the specific person, and then rest is like they want the person to groom in the organization and make sure the productivity goes on and the cost factor is like really met on their requirements.
Okay. What advice would you like to share with someone who is going to take international assignment in the future?
Well, my initial advice is finish every qualification in your home country, which is like the most important thing of anyone's career is the education background that they take in their early ages. So my initial advice is make sure that the qualification, it could be academic, it could be skilled, or what sort of qualification that they need to get it, it's up to them. Make sure get the qualifications and the paperwork done, and then get to know much more about the industry of that specific country that they want to go and continue their career. So, two aspects: get the educational background very well established, and then make sure the professional and the skilled areas to be expertised in that specific industry.
Sir, you have worked more than 5 years abroad, and how did your family support during that period?
Well, the family was the biggest support which I have had throughout, and then my family members were like very happy about the exposure which I got in abroad. But then again, as a person, I had to face different types of challenges when I was abroad, like especially missing my parents, siblings, and then the friends over here. And then in order for me to get used to it, I had to go through a different routine. Like I go to work in the morning, come back to my accommodation in the evening, and then what happens is like it was a daily routine which I had to go through. And then over that geographical area, it's different because on the weekends I have my off days. It's very hard to do something additional in terms apart from the job that I do there. So it is not allowed for us to do any part-time jobs or do any part-time income, like a job which comes to our hand, which is like monetary valued, is not allowed for us. So being in the accommodation or else going to meet some friends out of the city, it was the mind breakthrough which I had to make sure that to keep my mindset very strong. And then getting in touch with my friends over Sri Lanka and the other friends over the other countries also was like a challenge. And then that challenge was overcome through the social media platforms which we had. So at that period there were like different restrictions we had to go through on the social media platform. So we had to use the social media platforms which is allowed in that specific geographical area, and then we need to make sure that we adhere to the rules and regulations. And moreover, what happened is like I used to talk to my family members through social media, and then I used to get in touch with my friends, and then we had different forums. We had to attend those as well. So in order to break through the challenges, the mind challenges, and not getting frustrated was the key aspect over there. So these types of alternatives I had to go through, so then I can keep my mindset really strong, and then make sure that it doesn't affect my job routine, or as it doesn't affect my performance during my job responsibilities, was the thing which I had to keep in mind.
How the skills and experience gained at international job roles been beneficial in your current job?
Well, it's mostly about the work pressure handling. So as I said earlier also, it was like different nationalities, different expectations that we had to go through. So like how does it benefit in my current role is, it's like not specifically in one area, it's like in different areas which is like benefiting. Like one thing is when we are abroad, most of the documents are like digitalized, but then again in the current places also it's like fully digitalized. So it's like benefiting the job role which I'm doing right now. So earlier in Sri Lanka and many of the places, it was like paperwork. It's like documentation. But then again, after the pandemic, after the COVID period, things turned into the digitalization platforms. So abroad, different technologies are there compared to Sri Lanka. So those platforms, then those types of digitalization methods which comes in, it added so much of value. And then the systems being used in the organization, and then the process oriented work which goes on, it's like really benefiting because we had to keep an eye on everything. Like it's not a easy task for us to just do the work and just allow. There's a process we need to follow, and there are certain rules and regulations we had to go through. And so those types of exposure was like supporting to the exact thing which I really need.
You have worked for different industries. So what are the major challenges that you have encountered while shifting your industries?
Well, different industries in the sense, if I am to say, I've been in the same field of work. I've been working in HR throughout my career. So industry is an exposure that we need to gain as a person. And then overall, if I'm to say, like, different industries experience was a challenge, because the processes and the work culture, and if I'm to say, like, how to get things done was different in different industries. Okay, compared to the banking, I was working in the insurance industry, and then I was involved in the bank assurance field. So managing the insurance industry and the banking industry was like two different things. But then again, it was like really interesting to get to know things, because it's like very rare that you get an opportunity to work together in the financial industry, like banking and insurance combined. So that's the place, the bank assurance industry, which gave me more exposure how things are happening. And then one more industry which I have worked is for the consultancy. So consultancy depends on different aspects. Like we need to cater to the clients in an order how they require the service. Like some they want permanent solutions, some they need temporary solutions, some they need contractual solutions. So it's different from client to client. And from that consultancy experience which I have, it encountered in different industries. Like I had to work for the manufacturing, then legal, information technology, construction, telecommunication. So in the consultancy industry, it was like a mix of experience which I had to go through. And then coming into the IT industry, it's also a different experience. I mean, like if I'm to say, comparing industry to industry, it's different. And then how do I encounter it? It's like getting to the knowledge transition was the key aspect which I had to go through. And then overall, if you ask me, like, is it really challenging to change the industry? In the industry, I mean, like in the field of HR, it's not difficult. It's about how you adapt to the changes and how you get to know along with the people. Like in HR, the main thing that we need to do is networking among the organization, and then getting to know how the new trends are working out with the employees, then the technology, and whatever the thing which is like value adding to the profile. I mean, like value adding to the team, value adding to the organization. Those things are like really needed to look into it. And then if we have those mindset, like getting into the different types of things, how we need to do it and how can we do it, is the main mindset that we can cater to ourselves in changing the industry.
Okay. And you have been working in talent acquisition function locally and globally. So what are the HRM trends that Sri Lanka should follow from the global trend?
On certain things, Sri Lanka has better trends than the international market. Okay. So in order, if I'm to say, like abroad, there's a separate process the those specific countries go through. Like the embassy in Sri Lanka and in the embassy of that specific country, it needs to align with the requirement.
Yeah.
Starting with the salaries, then the experience, qualifications, age, then the health, and there are certain things that the rules and regulation combine together. So those needs to be aligned, and then whatever the thing which is coming through on the talent acquisition thing, on certain things Sri Lanka is like way ahead, way ahead compared to most of the nationals, because Sri Lankans are like very much organized compared to other nationalities. They know how to get the technical stuff done. They are like really professional. So the world has some good reputation towards the Sri Lankans who are like really talented. That is one thing. And then answering your question on what Sri Lanka needs to adapt on talent acquisition is like, if we can bring a different set of online, I mean like a remote working pattern where there are different types of skilled Sri Lankans in different countries. It's going to be really costly. It's going to be like, I don't know how to emphasize it in a way how it can be done. But then again, if we can bring in the talents who have been working out of Sri Lanka, and then make sure that if we can cater to the organizations and cater to the specific country services, if we can go through remote operations, then it would be a good platform. It will be open for the outside market as talent acquisition. If we can bring in those and then plug and play, it would be really beneficial. So trends, in the sense, it's different. It's very hard to answer that question. But then again, some of the patterns which Sri Lanka has is way ahead. If we are to take from the international market towards our industry, I would say it's like, if we can have a good platform of digitalizing things, like now professional categories, they can follow their own path. They are like really good in what they are doing, so it's all good. But majority, if you have to bring any talent acquisition trend over here, it's better like if we can have it in the local language, where it can be converted into the international language like English, French, Germany, Japanese, Korean. So the language based system, if they can do, it would be really nice for the people who are like looking out to expose their careers abroad, and then make sure to add some additional value to their profile. It would be really great.
Yeah.
Mr. Asath, what leadership style did you follow in Expatriate assignments, and what leadership style do you follow in Dialogue Axiata as talent acquisition manager?
Okay, so there are different leadership styles that we need to have during our careers, that we need to follow. Okay, so internationally having it was like different. It was challenging because we had a very limited amount of authority to get things done. So the best thing which I had to go through in the international assignments, it's like getting to know what exactly is required and how it can be done. So following the process was the key. So that was the only thing which I had to follow at the moment. And then we had different nationalities working together, and then it was like getting everyone into the same page was the skill which I had to go through during the international exposure, because we can't be like very much dominant over there, and then we can't be like forcefully getting things out of our control. Like it's a different country. They have different aspirations, they have different mindsets. So bringing all of the team members into the same page was the main leadership style which I had to follow there, because we are expatriates over there. it's like if we had to leave that specific position in that organization, there are like hundreds of thousands people available to join that position. So in order I had to make sure that I keep my mindset really strong and then keep my mindset really clear on what I'm doing, and bringing everyone into the same page and following the thing was the leadership style during my abroad experience which I have. And then not specifically, I'm not going to mention about the current workplace. In Sri Lanka, it's different. Sri Lankan people are like very much engaged and very supportive towards anyone over here. So that's why Sri Lankans are like more focused, and then Sri Lankans are like very much helpful. So we are known as the best nationality of hospitality. So it is among our bloods, okay? And then what happens is, like in Sri Lanka, getting along with the team members, getting along with the relationship among the colleagues and whomever the people who are involved, internal, external parties. So that is the leadership style which I see in like getting things done. But then again, like there's no any specific hard or fast rule I follow any pattern, but getting into the people's mindset and understanding themselves is the leadership style which I see in myself now.
Sir, what do you perceive as the major challenges facing your talent acquisition function today, and what are the suggestions to overcome them?
Okay, currently in the industry which I'm working right now, it's in the information technology, and then I'll just elaborate how the challenges are there and then how it can be overcome. So over the past few years, there was a major migration number of Sri Lanka. Like Sri Lankans were like migrating to different countries in different industries, and then the best are still there in Sri Lanka, and then most of the best people had to leave their home, leave their jobs in Sri Lanka and go do different types of jobs in different countries. People moved to different geographical areas. Some they had a plan to move, some they went and then they came back to Sri Lanka. So differently it was like coming, like the challenges are coming in different ways, okay? And then in the industry which I'm working right now, there is a pool of candidates, and then there are upcoming candidates, like graduates like you all who are getting graduated, and recent past graduates are there, and then over another couple of more years there will be graduates coming each and every year, okay? So the challenge which we as an industry we are facing right now is having the best talent for the position is the challenge that we are going through. So it's not a journey which is going to stop. It will keep on going, and then overcoming it has different types of things that we have to face, to do. And then how are we going to do, when are we going to do, and how it can be brought into action is also a concern. Then going back to what you asked me about the challenges which I'm facing right now, number one is not having the exact skill set in Sri Lanka. And then telling you one more thing, the mentality of each and every person, like differently. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but if the mentality of the person can be changed and groomed into like go-getter ability, it would be nice. And then the attitude towards getting things done, and how people oriented, how process oriented, how knowledge oriented is like a key thing which I see as challenges. Overcoming those, if we have a possibility of getting people trained in a very skillful way, skilled in the sense like different industries. If I'm to say in the IT industry, if we can have a platform, if we can have a overall work culture where we can groom the youngsters like graduates like y'all, and then whom have been like recently graduated, if there is a separate workforce planning, if there is a separate training module where we can give the upskilling, and then if we can make sure that we groom your communication skills. Okay, so mostly about the challenge which I see in many of the youngsters and many of some, like not everyone I'm saying, there are youngsters who are like really talented. Some youngsters are like really above, they are even like like very talented. I don't know how to explain it. They're like really good, but then again their communication skills is lacking. So if we can make sure their communication skills are like groomed into the next level, and then those are like very basic thing which is needed, but communication skill development is a key thing which I see as a challenge where people are reluctant to improve. So making sure the communication and then the rest of the skills and mindset, if we can make it through to a positive side, it would be like really good for the challenges to overcome.
Sir, when talking about the talent acquisition function, are there specific skills you recommend in focusing on for success?
Well, earlier, like early days in this industry in talent acquisition, if I'm to say 10 years back, the trend of attracting was different. But now the trend of attracting is also different. Like it's attracting, but how we attract is the thing that we need to go through. Now earlier there was like paper advertisements, there were leaflets, there were campaigns for every position that we advertised. But it's very rare that we take a newspaper right now and look for a job. Now looking back to the talent acquisition, it's like very different. How we get things done, how it like attract the talent is different. Now if I am to attract a person from like if I need a marketing person, it's like the job portals that I need to go through and the social media platform. That is a separate thing. But then again, like if I am to get a person for the restaurant industry where I need to send them out of the country, it's like a different attractive thing. I mean, like it can be like social media, there are different pages. We need to make sure that we put an advertisement and boost. There are separate WhatsApp groups and then different platform and different places. Like we can put in digitalized boards are there in different places, and then looking into the agencies and then whomever the most influenced people in a specific village, specific city. So those are like different things which we have to make sure that the talent acquisition attraction can be done. So it's different, and then how well we are using it, it's the concern, and how well we are going to manage it, it's the efficiency that we need to look into it.
Sir, how important was networking in your career journey? What strategies do you suggest to build a strong professional network?
Okay, so networking is the best thing which we can have in our career, and then networking is important for everything that we do in our career journey and in our real life. So if you say me like why networking is important, the initial job opportunity which I got is through a friend of mine. It's like that specific friend is my own brother's friend. He's like from the same school, and then it was like he had the possibility of recommending me because I was good with him. He was he was like really engaged with me during the schooling career, and then as a elderly person to me, he was like very supportive on how things were done during the schooling career. So I had to like during my schooling career and small days, I had the skill of networking with any amount of people and like interacting with them, going for events, then making sure how things are being like enjoyed. It was like a key thing during my small days. So it was like not only in my school but during my schooling career in different schools, I had the possibility of networking and making new friends. So networking was really important for me to get my initial job. So that is one thing which started and which benefited my career. And then if I'm to say the initial international exposure, it was also through a network. It was I haven't seen that person. I haven't seen that person until like I got the opportunity. I added that specific person through LinkedIn. There's a professional network. LinkedIn is like a worldwide known professional network. I kept on adding people who are like into the HR industry, then consultancy, different types of people. I kept adding on to my LinkedIn profile. So luckily at that specific time, while I got graduated only, there was a recruiter who saw my profile. Like at that time I had only a very limited number of experience. This specific recruiter had identified my profile and then approached me through LinkedIn and then told me to share my CV. We got along with the process that we had to follow. Through that was the initial thing. The initial international exposure was through networking. And then most of the jobs which I got and most of the career changes which I had to change and get, it was through networking. Like getting to know people, getting to know how the trends are going on, and then building the trust and then building the character. It is like very much important. So networking was the best thing which I had to follow, and currently also I'm following on making new connections, how things are to be networked, and making sure that where I draw the line, and then setting out like which barriers that I need to follow while networking is like one of the main key aspect I have to go through. And then answering your question in a very smaller way, in a summarized way, networking is important on whatever the thing which you are doing in your real life and career life both together.
So still we are undergraduate and freshers in the corporate world. What advice would you give us to build successful career journey?
Okay, I would recommend you all to have your qualification in very good grades. Like graduate yourself in whatever the field that you're studying at the moment, and make sure that you all develop your communication skills and leadership skills on how you all are going to do. And then regardless of whatever the industry, my initial advice is jump into a organization where they provide whatever the job opportunity. It can be a training opportunity, it can be an internship, it can be an industrial training, whatever the thing. Start it from a place where it can be pursued to a higher level. That is the initial advice that I can give you. And then while you're performing your jobs as interns, associates, and whatever the positions that you all are going through, make sure to engage with the people over there, and then build a good relationship between the office colleagues, then within the organization, out of the organization. Networking is a key thing that you all need to have. And then what I would strongly suggest is get yourself involved in things which will add more value to your profile. Go to forums, get to know the industry leaders, and listen to the things which they are like. Now there are certain things which is there in social media platforms. How people have come up through their life, and how difficult the journey was them. Like they had to go through different difficult journeys. How they overcome them. So understanding those situations, putting into yourself into that situation, and drawing up a roadmap to your own self, like within a span of time, where am I going to end up, and then is this the industry which I need to follow, or else is this the part which I need to have in my career. It is like very much important for the youngsters to choose which path that they are going forward. So advice is get yourself qualified, get yourself like engaged with the market leaders, follow the people that who have come through their careers in a bigger way. So those types of things only I can say, like it's not, I cannot specifically stress out and say that you all need to do only this, that you all need to do that, this and all. But then again, follow the passion which you all have, and then make sure how you can build up your character and go to the next level. That's the only advice that I can say.
Our next question is, according to you, what do you think about the concept of work-life balance? Do you think it is essential for expatriate performance?
Work-life balance is very important to every person, like whether it's like whether you work as an expatriate in a different country, or else if you work in your home country as well. So how do you do work-life balancing? In my opinion, what I see is how do I prioritize my activities is the key. Now, if I'm a person who has different family commitments, how do I prioritize those, and how do I prioritize my professional work? Like if I have a job role which is required to be on a specific place for a certain number of hours, how do I manage those hours, plus and rest of the time how do I allocate it to my family is very important. And then talking about being an expatriate and balancing life, it's two different things. Now if I'm a single person who is working in a different country, how do I manage it on myself, and how do I prioritize my rest of the free time? That is one thing. And then as an expatriate, if I am living with my family, how do I allocate the number of hours towards work, and how do I allocate the rest of the time towards my family is very much important. And then being in the home country, how do I do the work-life balance is different compared to out of the home country. So work-life balance here in my home country is like easy to be done if I prioritize what I need. Likewise, if there's a possibility of remote work opportunity, I can spend some time in my home with my family members, and then they will see how difficult getting work done through the corporate life. That is a thing which the family also would see and understand how hard working is this person. And then overall, all in all, work-life balance is more important on how we prioritize the work and how we get things done through the family members, and then the professional colleagues on what we need.
How did you manage to maintain work-life balance while adapting to the demands of working for multinational companies as well as in your current job role?
Well, as I told you earlier, prioritizing the activities is like very much important. Managing right now the work-life balance is what I see is I organize myself on specific tasks on how I need to do, and then commenting on how do I plan my work is like I plan the work, the daily schedules and the weekly schedules on what is exactly required in my professional career. In my personal life, what I see is always allow time for family and allow time to spend with your loved ones is the key which I see. So it's two different types of balancing. I plan out my professional work in a very long term manner and then make sure that I allow time to my family members and my personal commitments.
So for the past few minutes, we have Mr. Asath has been sharing a lot of valuable insights and information with us and inspiring us as undergraduates as well through your story. So I would really like to thank you, sir, for joining us today and for accepting our invitation and for joining us for the interview. So until next time, this is Group 5 signing off. So please accept this as a token of our appreciation.